mainly what I do is I teach people, it's called painless wholesaling. We all know wholesaling can be pretty painful, right? My last name's Payne, so I was like, let me show people the painless way to do it.
Mic check.
I'm good.
Mic check. Mic check.
You can read about success all day long, but if you don't put in the work, the mindset, execution, and the hustle behind your vision, it just remains a dream.
When everything goes wrong, you have to take all the responsibility.
We uncover what high-level entrepreneurs, business owners do to rise up from hustling daily.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Join me as I share with you actionable tips to help you grow your business, learn skills, and help you level up in your self-development journey.
Your number one spot for business and personal growth is the Online Hustlers Podcast with your host, Esteban Andrade.
Every day I'm hustling.
Hey, what's going on, everyone that is watching this podcast live on YouTube or in the Facebook group, or is listening to this podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcast. Today, we have a special someone that is going to help you execute the simplest levels of sales. It's a sales process that for you, for the longest time, have had this thing in your mind that probably you're not good at it. You never had experience with sales. I myself haven't had an experience with sales before. I was an engineer. So for me, it was really something new that I had to understand. But like anything is a science that you can actually put together in a framework. We're going to understand it here today. A lot of you guys know how to do numbers, real estate wholesaling, real estate flipping, being able to just understand the real estate backend side. But since this is a game of marketing and sales, so acquisitions is going to be everything is going to change your game in here. And then the other side is the dispositions, which also includes sales, but more in a business to business side. This is going to be valuable for you. Huge. So it only takes about 60 seconds to just leave us a review, tell us how we did. And if you loved it, give us a 5-star and also reach out to this new guest that I have here. And that is Nathan.
What's up, man?
What's up, man?
Man, I love that intro video you had, man. That was sweet.
Thanks,
I got to get one of those.
I'm pumped here because you being specializing in something that someone ultimately needs a lot.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people preaching on how to run this automated business or how to run this wholesaling business, and it's a simple business to do, but
Right.
really there's no one specialized on specific skill sets that we ultimately need,
Right.
or there's just a few people out there.
Yeah, it's true.
So you decided to go into helping people with your sales skills, and everything has to do with sales. Your company is called?
So my company's called investorthrive.com. But mainly what I do is I teach people, it's called painless wholesaling, right? Because we all know wholesaling can be pretty painful, right? My last name's Payne, so I was like, let me show people the painless way to do it. You know what I'm
I
saying?
really like it. But so Nathan Payne, like there's a few things that I really like from that. First of all, it's very marketable.
Yeah, appreciate
People
it.
will understand that Payne is your last name, but also it is also painful to really master that art.
Oh, dude, it is.
And here's one of the biggest things that I have had. A lot of people actually come in to this game, to a wholesale game.
Yeah.
They come to a program, they get a coaching program, they start doing marketing, and they think that they know how to talk to people. They think that they know how
Right.
to sell. They think that they're good at sales. But in reality, when you go and listen to their conversations, you listen to how they interact with other human beings that
Mhm.
are in a troublesome situation, it's not that way.
You're right.
So I see that one of the biggest hurdles that we have at helping others understand, why do they think that they know sales, but in reality not? Like there's always something there that people need to understand when they come to the wholesaling and real estate investing side, talking to homeowners,
Yeah.
talking to these people. So
it's
tell
huge.
me more about, like, what are your thoughts about that, man?
Well, so I got my experience. I did door-to-door sales. So I would go knock on people's doors. I started when I was like 22, actually 19 years old. I went on a mission for my church. I'm from the LDS Mormon church. So when I was 19 to 21 years old, I went on a mission for my church. And I went and talked to people about like Jesus, right?
Yep.
So every day I was knocking doors or talking to people, and a lot of people weren't interested, right? Obviously, nobody really wants to talk about that, like especially if they don't know who you are. So I got from that experience, I learned to like take how to take rejection, right? And not to take it personal. Because it's not personal, right? You whether you're asking a homeowner if they want to sell their house and they say no, that has nothing to do with you. They just didn't want your offer, right? So same thing. So I learned that, and then I did door to door sales, and I learned that I actually learned the wrong way to do sales, in my opinion. So I would knock on people's doors and I'd be like, "Hey, I'm only here in this area for." I was selling Dish Network, which was a satellite TV, and I'd say, "Hey, I'm only in this area for a little bit of time. I'm here to, help you lower your bill." And I'd have to get that sale right then, right? So after I did door to door sales for 6 years and I went into wholesaling, I was trying to get people to make decisions like right
Yeah.
now, and I would try with the way I used to sell is it was like benefits. I'd be like, hey, this is why you should switch. You should switch because of you get more channels, you get better DVR, you get better stuff, and I was trying to sell off of benefits, right? And when you when you're trying to buy someone's home and you just try to sell them off of your benefit offer, that's the wrong way to do it. No, you can say, "Hey, I can buy your house quick, easy, fast, convenient, and this is my offer, and I need you to accept it." It's not going to work
Yeah.
because your offer is too low, and they probably have 5 other people talking to them, and that's just not how you do sales. So actually, being in wholesaling has taught me the right way to sell, because you can't force someone to take your offer in
Yeah.
wholesaling, right?
But let's also drill a little bit more into that because, I mean, for example, you had a lower ticket sale.
Yeah,
Back then, when you used to do door to door,
it's low ticket. Yeah,
there's low ticket, medium ticket, high ticket, like huge long sales cycles tickets. Like there are different type of sales
mhm,
where the techniques need to be different. So
exactly,
ultimately, because that exists, you also have to be able to accommodate to the type of industry, to that
exactly.
type of avatar,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, you can sell. I don't know how much it costs the door to door sales that you had to do, but right now we're talking first of all about someone that has to do a decision on one of the biggest assets that they've ever owned in
Exactly.
their life, and maybe that decision could screw them up, could like give them a great outcome,
Mhm.
but there's always also that fear that something is happening right now right in there that has some sort of motivation,
Yeah.
and people, so new wholesalers or people that have been in the game of sales and done a different type of sales, they think that I think that they judge the people or the lead way too fast without really having a deep conversation.
Exactly, and I think a lot of people go from, like, maybe a sales background like I had where it's a low ticket or mid ticket. This is a completely different sale, right? You gotta find out the motivation. That's like, you gotta find out why the seller's selling. You gotta find out what's gonna benefit them and help them through a process. It's not something that they can just make a decision immediately, right? So, I think that's what I struggled with when I first started, doing sales and wholesaling, is I was just trying to get them to take my benefits to do the benefits. Hey, this will be quick, fast, easy, convenient. And people are like, let me think about it, right? Or they're like, let me check with some other people because it is their biggest asset, right? So I actually started doing a ton of sales training on how to present offers and how to be like the consultant versus the a salesman, right? So I don't even really have one way to pitch a deal. I have multiple ways to pitch offers, right? And I say, which one works best for you, Mr. Seller? And that's how I work now, and it works great because it's not pushy. It's they don't even feel like you're selling them. You're just coming to an agreement, right? So that's it took me a while to learn that, but that's what I'm trying to teach people is if you just make a wholesale offer and that's all you know how to do, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Because then I'm going to come behind you and call the seller, and I'm going to pitch them wholesaling, fix and flip, novation. I can list it for them. I can help them fix it if they want to keep it. I can tell them that they can keep it as a rental. I have all these ways, and I talk to them about what they want to do, and then they decide what they want, and then I can make money. Doesn't matter which one. I can make money on
Yeah.
all of them.
When did you realize that you were not that that you needed to modify or change the way that you were doing sales? Like, is there something that happened? Just experience talking to sellers. How do you realize that?
I think it's after talking to it's like, let's say we talked to 100 people and only one person was accepting my offer, right? Or like 10. This is too low, right? I gotta monetize every lead. As you know, it's marketing is expensive. So if you can only make one offer, or only get 5 people interested and you spend all that money, you got to do something to switch. So my goal is to monetize every lead, right? Make as much as I can. And you can only do that if you know how to help a seller in multiple situations and
Yeah.
monetize that, right?
So you come from door-to-door sales, and is that what you did your entire life, or what's your background?
Yeah, so before I went on my mission when I was 19 in high school, I did a little construction. I did a little Smoothie King. I worked at Smoothie King a little
Nice.
bit. But after my mission, when I was 22, I just did door-to-door sales, ran sales teams until I was about 26, graduated from college. Also ran a music venue in college. I bought like a little music venue and cereal bar because I like cereal a lot. So we had cereal and we'd sell cereal bowls to people. So I did that. So that was just fun. But yeah, mainly it was just sales, door to door sales, and like negotiating. But again, completely different sale, right? So the reason why I got into wholesaling originally in real estate because I was like, man, I'm good at selling people. I'm good. I can convince anyone. That ain't it's different. You can't really convince someone to take an offer that's 50% of the value unless they need that service, right? Unless they really need or if they're in a bad situation. So I had to really pivot how the way I did things in order to monetize because it's tough.
Yeah, man. So, okay, a lot of people don't have sales background.
Mhm.
Maybe they did engineering. Maybe they were a technician, worked as an operator somewhere. They've worked in, I don't know, in the fast food restaurants or the retail industry, and they never had really sales experience
Yeah, yeah.
or never had to do like this type of sales. They just maybe had to talk to a few people, or they never talked to people. So when you see these type of people coming into the industry, and they just go right away into like, I want to learn how to do like ARV, how to do comps, how to
Mhm.
like potentially have best offer, but you know that they need to understand sales
Yep.
from the basic level to the most advanced in order to actually grow their business and start closing deals. How do you approach that? Like if someone doesn't have experience,
That skill
that
set.
never been in sales, how do you approach that?
I think what I teach people is like, look, it's not so much again, people come from like trying to convince like the benefits of the offer. You got to find out what the seller wants first, right? The first thing I ask the seller when I talk to him and is I just say, what's got you interested in selling? I want to know. That's all. I don't care about the house. I don't care about anything at this point. Just what's up? What's going on in your life? What's got you wanting to sell? They give me some idea of why they're selling. Then I say, look, I got a lot of ways I buy properties, right? Which ones have you already explored? What have you already talked to an agent? Do you want to keep it? And I try to find out what they've done, right? Because if I just start going into my pitch, if I just start going into like what's good for me or what I can offer, I don't know a lot of information still. So I think for people that are brand new, they got to understand what's going on with the seller's life. Like what have they looked into? That would say number one. Care
Okay.
about the seller more than what you have to offer, right?
Okay.
Because if you just start you know what I'm saying? If you start
Yeah.
rambling, oh, this is what I can do, this is what I can do.
So it seems like you first go with the care, like, so care with what the seller is looking for.
Yeah.
So it's all about them,
Yeah.
and you make it look all about them.
Mhm.
And then right after that, like, how would you approach a conversation? Would you tell them like how the conversation could go, like the process? What would be, you set an agenda, you set a frame?
Of course. Yeah, so I'll just tell you the sales process that I use. So I start the call off and I say, "Hey, is now a good time to chat?" Like I know we scheduled a Zoom call or whatever, say, "Hey, do you still have 5, 10, 15 minutes to talk?" They say, "Yes." I say, "Okay. Hey, just so you know how this conversation's going, you set the expectation, right, of what the call is going to be about." Or you say, "Hey, today I know this is the first time we're talking, but today I want to discuss what options that we have to purchase your property because apparently you want to sell, right? Let's just say you came in through pay per click. You came in saying you want to sell. So today we're just trying to find out if we can work together, if I can buy your house. That's the purpose of this call. And at the end of this call, you can say, let's move forward or let's move forward to buy your house or not. So now they have an expectation of what's going to happen. We're not going to blindside them at the end saying, hey, I want to buy your house. So after you set the expectation, then I go, so let's find out. I'm just curious, what's got you interested in selling? It seems like a great home. They give you the spiel, right? And then you go into options. Okay, well, you told me that's why you want to sell. What else? What have you done up to this point? Because I'm not trying to cover something that you've already tried to do. Have you listed it? Have you decided? Do you want to keep it? Is keeping it an option? Do you want to flip it yourself? I don't have the money for that. Okay, so flipping's out of the question. Do you want to list it? Like I said, and they're like, no, I don't want to list it. I don't want people walk through my house. Okay, so listing's out. So okay, then there's a cash offer. Then you're narrowing it down. So I think as someone that's new, you really just got to find out what they've done and narrow down their options for them, and then you have a better idea of like a conversation where you're trying to take.
Yep. No, I get it. Okay. So one of the biggest things that I also notice is some people will come from another industry and they'll try to do this exact same thing, just like what you mentioned,
Mhm.
exact same thing that they did in the other industry, rush the call, pretend that everyone needs to sell, pretend that everyone's going to give away their house and things like that.
Oh, not even
So,
close.
yeah, not even close. So, how are you molding people that came from another industry and came in, let's say, doing, I don't know, HVAC sales or car sales and things like that, but they're still having a difficult time with talking to people? Oh, they're not accepting my offer. Oh, they're just telling me I need to think about it, or that, or I'll just they're just telling me I'm just going for another investor that I'm talking to. They're 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 just they're just stuck in not being able to lock a property under contract.
Right.
Or maybe they do, but it takes way more conversations, way more leads
Mhm.
to do it. So someone that already was coming from a type of experience, how do they increase their conversion?
Man, this might sound like easy, but you got to role play. You got to practice, right? Because if I take someone that's brand new, that's never really done what I'm trying to teach about presenting options and understanding where the seller's at, me saying, "Hey, just do it," is going to be tough, right? So daily practice and then role playing certain situations, I think, is the key. I even role play still, right? And most expert sales guys, and I'm not saying I'm an expert, but most of them have to practice daily. I was talking to this one guy. I went to what's called Door to Door Con. It's in Salt Lake City. It's like a door to door convention where all the people, the best in the industry, come. And there's this one dude who's the best. Like he sells the most solar accounts for solar, and he's like 60 years old. He's a super old guy, but he still knocks doors. And he's like, and I said, "What do you do that sets you apart?" He's like, "Every day I practice. Every day I wake up and practice." Because he told me that we all start with a battery in the morning. Let's say it's recharged. By the end of that day, that battery's depleted, according to him. And the next day, if you just start picking up the phone, immediately going at it, that's still, according to him, your battery's still depleted, right? You haven't recharged it. So he says that morning practice, the role playing, getting the dust off before you start making calls, that's going to help you get better. So daily incremental practice is the key to getting better.
Yeah. So with my team, we do actually daily huddles at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. We're currently
Perfect.
doing it at 10 a.m.
Mhm.
So that at 9 a.m. they can do, start preparing and other ways to start the day. But 10 a.m. we go over wins, whether that's personal wins or wins with clients that they've had.
Mhm.
And then we also look at projections. So based on what you told me that at the beginning of the week, how are we looking for? Are we
Mhm.
still the same or do we have more projections? And then we will do a training that would last either 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes 1 hour, on specific skill sets that they want to fix that specific week, right? Or that
Perfect.
they're struggling with. And sometimes we just either do a type of coaching or just role play. That could be one way, but we're doing it daily. And that's something that I started doing after I noticed last year when I did not do it. Our performance as a team itself in the sales side,
Mhm.
like we're not getting as many contracts, went drastically down.
Yeah, 100%. It's daily practice. It doesn't matter how experienced you are, you gotta practice every day.
Yeah.
It's like, for basketball, it's for anything,
Okay.
even professionals practice every day, right?
So how do you set up someone? Someone's coming in into like, they're I'm having such a painful time to get people to accept my offer, even talk to me,
Mhm,
continue the conversation. They just want to tell me no, tell me the price, tell me the price, no.
mhm.
And I'm having such a hard time just having quality conversations.
Yeah,
It's always goes to how you start the call, how you set the call from the very beginning, potentially your tonalities or the way that you're approaching this seller. So if we were to dissect someone that is having those objections always,
right.
what do we need to analyze?
So let's talk about this. So you're saying maybe someone's trying to rush them off the phone,
Yeah.
right? So when I start a call, I always ask for permission to talk, right? Like, not like, "Hey, can I talk?" But it's more of like, "Hey, did I catch you at a bad time? Is now a bad time? Or do you have time to talk, right? Because I'm not trying. Has anyone ever called you and like a friend from a long time ago, and you're in the middle of something and they just start talking? They
Yeah.
just go right into
Yeah.
it, and you're like, you got to go, right?
Yeah.
That's how sellers are too. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you want. They've never talked to you. So if you just call someone and immediately start, hey, no, I saw that you want to sell your house. I was wondering, yeah, I can't even do it because I don't even do it anymore. But like, hey, I was just calling to talk about your
But
house.
you used to do it.
Yeah, I used to do it.
Yeah.
But like, hey, I'm calling you about your house. What what's the condition of the house? Like, if you just go right into that, that seller the whole time is like, what does this person want?
Yeah.
I don't got time for this. If you called me, I don't have time for this. We're busy,
Yeah.
right? So
And resistance is just you're putting a wall of resistance right
yeah.
away.
So immediately get that wall down by asking for permission to talk, right? So immediately I say, hey, I know we had this time scheduled. Just want to double check. Are you still good? Yes, I am good. Okay, that's at least eliminated the barrier that they're free. Then I say, how much time do you have? Just checking because I'm not trying to run over. I got about 5 or 10 minutes. Great. 5 or 10 minutes, that's all I need. And then you want to make sure that as you're talking to them, you check in if you go over that time limit. You'd be like, hey, it's been 10 minutes. I just want to know, are we still good to talk or do you have to go? Because we can resume this. Because a lot of the resistance I'm assuming a lot of people face is because they don't really know what's going on that other end of the phone call. They don't know if the person is in dinner or at a friend's house. So yeah, that's what I would say.
100%.
Get permission.
If you were to go back to when you were doing it the wrong way,
Yeah.
even though you had a sales experience, but if you were to remember a few conversations that you were like, damn it, you know what? If I only did it the way that I'm doing it right now, which is an improved way of doing the sales process,
Mm-hmm.
I could have probably gotten a deal. I could have gotten
Oh,
something out of it.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
what type of things that you remember, conversations that you remember of past leads, past sellers that you had, like in the very beginning, or like your first few months or years in business, in the wholesaling side, you would remember like, oh my god, that could have really been a deal.
Yeah, there's too many, man. There's a lot. And what I used to do is I would make my offer, and then if they didn't accept it, I would just say, okay, like an ultimatum. I'd be like, well, hey, I got to move on, or I got to go to do another house if you don't accept that, without diving in and finding out why, like, it didn't work out, or like, if they're looking at other options. I would just say, okay, you know what? If my offer is 170, if that doesn't work for you, I got to go buy another property, thinking that would cause them to be like, oh wait, don't go. If there's hundreds of people probably calling them, right? Yeah, you giving the ultimatum doesn't really work. So I probably would have just been like, okay, I understand the offer doesn't work. What other options are you looking at? Like, okay, and again, I didn't have the skill set to offer more than a wholesale offer, right? And that a lot of wholesalers at the beginning they don't know what else to do if they don't get accepted. But
Yeah. Let's quickly talk about that. So you're day one into wholesaling,
mhm,
and you're so into like this YouTube university,
yeah,
but they never realize that there's much more than just the wholesaling side, because you're limiting yourself to being able to solve only one problem,
one problem, right?
only
Right.
one problem.
Yeah.
And sellers have multiple problems for different variations,
Mhm.
and you're limiting yourself to only do, let's say, a certain amount of deals per the amount of leads or marketing that you do.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that. Like, what are wholesaling? What are wholesalers missing out? Like, why are wholesalers suck when they start?
Yeah, it's because they only know how to make one offer. That's about it, right? So if you really narrow it down, the amount of people that are willing to take 50% of their value of their home, right, is very low. It's like what 2% of all sellers need to sell that quickly in that situation. So if that's all you're able to do, then that's why I lost out on so many, because I would just make that low offer. They'd say no, and I'd say, all right, well, let me follow up with you. And I'd put them in a drip campaign, or I would check in another 30 days. Hey, I was just calling to see if you're still interested in selling. They'd say, yeah, I am, but I can't accept your offer. Right. So, okay, well, let me just keep checking in, and one day maybe they'll change their mind. So there are some sellers that need that no matter what, they have to accept the low offer because their house sucks. Like it's in really, really bad shape, but still you can work out other things. So again, why do wholesalers suck? Or we're saying wholesalers, they only know how to make one offer. That's it. Right.
So let's walk through different type of offers
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that have given you a better slide edge in the sales
Of
process.
course. Yeah. So let's look at it this way. So you make a low. I always start with the low offer, right? And what is the reaction usually to a low offer? No, right?
Mhm.
So I say, hey, look, I totally get that you're not interested in 240. But if you want something that's fast, easy, and convenient, that's where it's going to be from me or other investors. You're saying you want speed. Is getting that price worth it to you for the speed and convenience? And then the seller would say, probably not, right? And then you say, okay, if it's not worth it to you, let's explore some other options. All right. So the next thing I go is I say, have you decided if you want to make the most money for this, Mr. Seller? You're going to make the most if you flip it yourself. Do you do you have the opportunity or the ability to put some money into this and fix this? Would you?
Not really.
No? Yeah,
No.
because that would make you the most, and I want you to make the most. Again, I'd love to buy and flip it, make some money, but for you, so you don't have $40,000 to fix this up?
No,
Uh,
man. I
okay.
don't have that money.
I get it. So one of the other options that we have that we work with sellers is we can actually like do like a partnership program. We can like work with you and we can list this thing. We can bring this to the open market and list it for you, and I can cover any repair costs that need to be done. And I'll take care of all the realtor fees, all the commissions, all that. And that way, I'll be able to get you a higher price than my cash offer because we're going to open this up to the market. Is that something that you'd be open to?
And you don't need to be a licensed realtor?
No, well, we can work together. We can partner on it. All I need it's just some legal stuff that we got to do with some paperwork, but other than that, that would be able to get you more money. It's an
That
option.
that could be an option.
Okay. So that's an option. Another way that I can get you more money is if I buy your property on terms. I don't know if you've ever heard of creative financing, but basically I just buy your home instead of paying you all up front, like the cash offer where I just give it to you once we close, I pay you over time. That way I can make you a higher payment, but I can pay more, but it's just going to take time.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Never heard of that.
Yeah, no, we can dive deeper into it. I'm just giving you kind of like a surface level of what we can do because really it sounds like to me getting the highest price is the most important for you. Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I wanna get the most out of it, yes.
Okay. So if you weren't able to get everything up front, but still get the price you're asking for of 300,000, is that something you'd like to explore a little bit further? Get you the price you want, but not all up front.
Yeah, I'll be open to explore something like that.
Okay. So then depending on where they're leaning, right? Then we dive into a little bit more
Yeah.
about that, right?
Yeah,
I
because
actually run
not everyone needs $300,000 right away. For what?
right.
And if they say, "Yes, I need all of it," okay, what are you gonna use the money for?
What are you
Right?
going to use that money for?
We're gonna use the
Exactly.
money for.
Yeah. So those are kind of the process that I go through. Low cash offer. Usually say no. I say, hey, well, look, how about you fix it? I can give you some contacts. They don't have the money. Most people don't have the time or the money. They have 5 months and 70K to fix up their house. So they say, okay, well, we can bring this to open market and do innovation. We can do creative financing, or I can just list this. Maybe give you a contact with one of my agents, and they can list it as is. So now you've given them 5 things they can do, and they've already said no to wanting to fix it. So you've given them more options, and normally they're gonna go. Usually they go back to the cash offer. They're like, "Look, all this sounds, I'd rather just have the money up front. This all kind of sounds confusing, right?" Or if they don't get it, so that's kind of usually what happens for me. And the last thing I do, if they've denied them all, I say, hey, look, I got a big network of investors that I work with. You didn't want us to bring this to the open market. You didn't want to do creative and you don't want that cash offer. Let me run this by a couple of my investors that I know. Just give me 5 days. We're going to sign an option to purchase agreement. Just give me 5 days to run this legally, run this by my investors. And if I'll bring you all the offers they've pretty much given to me. And if any of them work, we can move forward. And then what I do is I present to them, I hit up my buyers that I'm tight with, and I present them the offers that the buyers have made, and I just add my fee in there. So if someone offered 260, I say, hey, this buyer offered 250. So now what are those? Those are like six different ways to talk to a seller. And none of these they felt pressure, right?
Yeah.
They didn't
No, I
feel like
love it.
I was trying to push them.
I love it. So, okay, look, obviously, the speed to execution is crucial in this game because there's a lot of people like they learn wholesaling and they get also excited. They see all these $15,000 checks, $20,000 checks, sometimes huge checks,
Yeah.
and then they try to do this. But you just mentioned that we have to be able to be a problem solver First problem seeker, problem solver. We need to find what the problem is with the seller, and solve their problem specifically tailored to them.
Right.
So if there is 5 different ways to solve people's problems, right, and the one that is being taught right away is wholesaling, when should they be starting to learn the other ones?
I would say immediately, man, because again, you're putting yourself in a box if all you're doing is offering those low offers, right? Um, Especially with the way the market shifted when the property values were high, and a lot of these sellers still want that high price, right?
Yeah.
So if you're stuck, you're really just putting, like I said, putting yourself in a box, limiting your options if you're just going to make cash
So how would you
offers.
approach that learning curve? So wholesaling is getting something discounted, ARV on 60, 70, 50% of the ARV and
Right.
whatever. And the other ones, how would you approach the learning all these other offers type of skill sets?
It's got to be practice, man. Because the way I do it, it's a number. It's just all numbers. You just have to. Actually have a calculator that I put all my offers into, and it populates all the different options
Different options.
for the
Do you build
sellers.
this calculator or?
Yeah, yeah. So I've taken through doing other courses and getting hard money lenders calculators. I've just kind of assembled one where if you put in the data, it will populate all the sellers' net options of like what they're going to be able to walk away with, and actually sit down on Zoom calls or in person with sellers, and I say, these are your options. Which one do you like? Because they're all going to help you get to your goal, but at different times, right? So if someone comes to me and they're like, I need to sell in 5 days, well, novation's not going to work. Creative might work, right? But flipping's not going to work. We're not going to be able to flip it that fast. So it's you really now in their timeline. Okay, we got a wholesaler creative. Those are the only two that are really going to make sense. So it, again, it's understanding what the seller wants and their timeline, and then crafting the offer. Um, a lot of people call it transactional engineering. Like I'm a transaction engineer. I know how to make the right offers, but you just got to practice. You got to know the numbers.
Yeah. Have you ever had situations? I feel like a lot of people try to list it on the market lately,
Mhm,
work with realtors, but realtors couldn't do anything about it.
mhm,
And they just can't get offers, they can't sell it, whatever. And now they're coming to investors, but they already have some sort of contract with the realtor, or the realtor comes and
mhm.
be like, I need help. Like, have you, do you know how to approach those type of situations?
Yeah, yeah. I actually wholesale a lot of deals that are on the MLS, right? You gotta be at the right numbers. So if it's currently on market, you can't do a novation, right? Because it's already listed. You can't relist it. And so you only have two options at that point where you can really help the seller: is a cash offer, or you can do creative. So again, it's really knowing, like you said, what can you do in certain situations. So those are the two that you can still do a deal. So for example, if an agent comes to me and says, "Hey, Nate, I've been trying to get offers and the seller needs to sell quick, it's listed," I would just say, "Okay, well, this is the offer, cash offer that's going to make sense." And then I would have a buyer in place, right? Or I'd buy it, right? And then if it's creative, then I'd say, "Okay, well, you got to get paid your commission. And for this deal to make sense, I can't put a lot of money down, so I can put just enough to pay your commission and then tell the seller we're just going to take over the payments."
Okay.
So does that make sense?
Yeah,
You
it makes
you just
sense.
have the two options.
Love it. I never had like not a rapid fire conversation about objections
Mhm.
when you have to reactively react to them.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe most objections should be eliminated by asking the right questions where it basically removes the objection
Yeah, yeah.
before it ever comes up. But when they do come up and you have to be reactive to it, a lot of people have literally issues understanding how to overcome that
Yeah,
objection.
let's try it.
So it's a concern. Um,
Give me an objection.
all right, let's do objections. Maybe I can quickly like have here my objection handling sheet and see.
Let's see how
Uh,
I do, bro.
let's see how you would approach it because there's different ways to approaching
Of
objections.
course, yeah.
So let's do the objection is um all right. Let's find one here.
See if I got the sauce, bro.
Let's
Let's
go.
see if I got it.
All right.
I
So,
don't get a lot of objections, so I might not be good at this. I'm just kidding.
all right. Um, yeah, honestly just shopping around for the best price possible. What do you think caused that objection, and how would you respond?
So I'm shocked. Maybe they feel like they're going to get pressured, right? So they're immediately just saying, "Hey, I'm just shopping around." And the way to I would overcome that. I'd be like, "Hey, I totally get it. I would do the exact same thing if I were you." So you're shopping around. What shopping have you already done so far? What have you figured out? That's what I would do. I would try to figure out what they've done.
Yeah,
And
to kind of uncover, like, uh, if there is a some sort of concern or something, like
mhm.
there's something behind there, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, my goal anything the seller says is like, "Hey, we're on the same team. I ain't here to convince you to take my offer. I'm not here to make you go with me." So they feel that the whole time. So objections, again, it's always like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. I would feel the same way."
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right. So another one. Yeah, I've had like several phone calls even today about this. People just asking me for a cash offer. It comes, it's very ridiculous.
mhm,
And I think that you're gonna do the same thing. So I don't know.
I know it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So are you right now? Are you selling at the moment or not really?
I mean, it has to be with the right person, the right price, because
Right,
all these other people, they're just coming in with like giving me
low ball
a
and
low ball, and,
yeah.
and it's not even good. So
Yeah, that's frustrating. I feel frustrated too, especially it's probably sounds like all these people are reading a script, right? They don't know
yeah,
what they're
it
doing.
does. It does. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so I can assure you that's not what I do. I'm just here to see if we can work together. And if I can't work with you, no worries. No big deal. So yeah, are you good to talk? Like I know I just called you. Do you have a couple minutes to chat?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's go into it.
All right, awesome. Let's do. Hey, look, I don't know. I have no place to go to after I sell. Like, I honestly, I wouldn't. It's kind of like a strange moment right now for me. So
Man, I can't. Honestly, I can't imagine being in that situation. So you don't have a place to move. You said.
no, man. Like, if I'm currently living in a house and I don't know, I wouldn't know what to do after I sell it.
So is it an option to just keep it? Can you just stay in the house?
Uh, if that's possible, yes.
Well, I don't know. Is it like, are you losing the house or you like, why do you need to sell?
Well, ultimately, I lost my job and I need some money and everything. So
So you kind of need to sell or,
yeah,
okay. Well, what I would do is let's explore some options for you to stay there because it sounds like you don't have anywhere to go, right?
no, I don't
So,
have.
so in this situation, I would just say like, well, let's get you to stay, right? I don't even want to buy your house. It sounds like you ain't got nowhere to go. If you don't have anywhere to go, and really, I'm sure you have somewhere to go. Like I'm just saying, talking out loud right now, but
Yeah,
it would if the person doesn't want to go and they don't have anywhere to go. Well, let's figure out how we can keep you there, right? And
yeah,
that's how I address situations like that. It's like let's do what you want.
yeah. Well, you know what? This sounds all, I don't know. I'm gonna try to list it with the agent, or just see if we can get somewhere there.
You're gonna list it.
Yeah, I
It's a
think
good
so.
idea. I think that's a good idea. But so I made you that offer, and you're saying you want to list it now. Is it what's wrong with my offer? You just is it not getting you what you need?
Uh, eh, Honestly, man, like, I don't know like how that all work out. It's kind of like flimsy or whatever. I've never had to deal with with something like that, and I don't know if it's even possible.
So my offer, you're saying, if I understand you correctly, you're just not sure if it's like legit, maybe.
Yeah, man, like, you make it sound all nice and everything, but honestly, like, the only way that I see it happening is with like an agent properly licensed.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get it. This is new for a lot of people. A lot of people have never sold their house to an investor cash. So let me ask you this: what would make you feel like this was more real or legit? Is there anything I could do to make you feel like this was a little bit? You'd be a little more confident in this.
Sure, sure. All right, let me combine it with another one.
Hmm.
Um, like, how would you even be able to buy my house without even like walking through it? Like,
Great question. Yeah, so right now we're talking and my sales process or like how I purchase properties is we agree on a price. I already looked online. I ran some comps. It makes sense. And after we sign an agreement, that's when I do my due diligence period and take a look at the property. I make a lot of offers on a lot of properties, so I can't go to every single one of them unless I have them under contract, or I'd be wasting my time. So if that's not something that works for you, I totally get it. But that's kind of how we work.
Yeah.
So would that work for you? If we agree on this price, you give me five days due diligence for me to verify everything. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that could definitely work.
Okay.
Another one, and this is the last one.
Yeah, that's good. I like these.
Um,
This is good.
so look, man, with my situation, I think I'm better off to just filing bankruptcy and do instead of all doing this instead.
That's tough. I don't really know what happens in bankruptcy. Are you what are the cons that you've looked into of filing bankruptcy? Like what's the most
I don't know, man. Like I just feel like that might be the easiest option.
I wouldn't be able to speak to that because I don't know I'm sure it's not good. I think it ruins your credit. Let's hopefully I would like to explore other things we can do so you don't have to. I think that there's some bad things that can happen through bankruptcy. Are you open to, exploring some other options instead of doing that? Or have you already dead set on filing bankruptcy?
No, I don't know, man. It's just like this thing got me all so stressed out and everything.
You're
So
overwhelmed. It sounds like you're overwhelmed.
yeah.
Well, let me try to narrow this down for you. I think there's a lot of things going on in your life. Maybe from what we've talked about, it seems like things are kind of tough. Let me show you what I have to narrow down your options for you. And if you don't feel comfortable with any of those, let's just stop and we don't have to move forward.
Okay. Let's do another one.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna have to go and talk with my wife or husband, and just take a look at this offer, being able to see whether if it's something good that we want to move forward.
Okay. So you got to talk about your wife. We already talked about your wife earlier. You were telling me that she just really doesn't make the decisions, right? And it's all up to you. So, do you want to just check with her because you're unsure if like this is a good option for you?
Yeah, we want to be on the same page. Obviously, I respect whatever she has to say and everything. So,
Okay. So let me ask you this. I that's totally fine. You want to check with your wife. If you went to her and she said, "Let's do it," what would you do? Would you be ready to pull the trigger and do it, or are you uncertain? Let's just hypothetically say she's okay with it.
yeah, I think that it would make sense. Yeah,
Okay, so you're good. You're sold as far as I know. It's just you just want to double check. That's it.
yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have some time we could give her a call right now just to double check? I mean, I have you on the phone. I'm not trying to, hound you and get you later. Can we give her a call right now?
Um, I don't know. I could try. I don't know if she's busy. Yeah,
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Just because, again, I'm busy, you're busy. I'm not trying to, f- get on another call if we don't have to.
yeah.
Sounds like you're sold too, unless I'm reading this wrong.
hmm No, yeah. Yeah. You're
Okay.
right. Cool. All right,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a little bit of a rapid fire.
Yeah. How'd you think? I mean, that's just how I handle the situations.
No,
What
it's
was your
great.
thoughts?
It's great. It's great. I feel like all of this comes with role playing.
100%, dude.
Role playing.
Yeah, because this is the thing, like, watching videos, like, all these newer wholesalers, everybody, even me when I first started, you can watch those videos for hours and hours and hours, and without practice, without implementation, without even getting on the phone and getting wrecked and getting rocked, you don't learn. You learn through practice, through taking action, and I think that's the problem with a lot of the newer investors is they just they just wanna learn,
Yeah.
but they don't wanna take action.
Another big thing is I don't know how you do, but I listen to my calls,
Mhm.
especially at the very beginning when I was learning sales, like consistently. Like, what did I just say, or what was I thinking, or what was it call all about? I need to listen to this.
Yeah.
Why did it not close?
Mhm.
Why did I get a negative outcome? And when you do, you have to grab your calls and review them.
It's painful
Also,
sometimes too, isn't it, to listen to yourself? You're like,
yeah,
"Oh
it's
gosh."
cringe
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, for sure.
At the beginning, especially, you're gonna see how cringe it is. And whenever you realize that you have five different ways to solve a seller's problem,
Mhm.
and that you missed something that they said,
Yeah,
let's talk about that.
for
Active
sure.
listening.
Yeah, yeah. So, let me give you an example. I actually listened to one of the calls I did. I did a Zoom call with this lady, and I blew it, right? And this is what happened. So I went over my options. My cash offer was at 240. She got one previously at 275. which I don't know how the guy did it, right? It's just too high and I couldn't compete. So I took her through the options and she's like, look, I think I'm just going to go with the guy 275. And I said, "Well, by when are you gonna make that decision? Because I can do," and I pitched the option to purchase. I said, "I can run this by my investors. I can't pay you what you want, but maybe I have someone that will pay more than the other investor." And she's like, "Okay, yeah, run it by your people." And I said, "Hey, usually I have the seller sign an option to purchase agreement that gives me a 5 or 7 day period, but I'll just do it if you just give me if you verbally say I can do it and you wait and don't sign because this is gonna be a waste of my time if I go look and find someone and then you've already signed." So she's like, "I'll give you a week," and we were really cool. We are having a good time, and then 3 days into, I find a buyer who's 20K over 275. I don't know how I did it. Doesn't make sense, but he wanted it as a rental. So I was gonna make $20,000, right? So I reach out to her. What do you think she already did? She already went with the other person
Oh,
because I'm sure they were hounding her. I'm sure they were like, "Hey, let's go."
yeah.
And for me, I just trusted that she would just give me a week, but motivation can change in like a day. She could have just waked up the next day and be like, "Hey, this other guy's wanting me to go. Let's just do it." So she told me she already was going to sign with him, and I'm like, "Oh gosh." So I was lazy and I didn't send her the agreement to sign to give me the time. So that's something that I realized by listening back on that call. I'm like, man, I shouldn't have been lazy. I should have just had her sign it because then I would have, at least had that agreement in place to protect myself for saving that
Yeah.
time. So that's yeah, when you said when you listen back to your calls, would you learn? Well, I learned I shouldn't be lazy and I should have just
Yeah.
got her to sign
Let's
it.
talk about like wholesalers. They sometimes they just want to respond back and
Mhm.
continue with the script,
Right, right.
but really, they're not absolutely listening to what they're saying.
Yeah,
What the words that are coming out of the seller's mouth fully and like chunk it down for each thing that they say
right.
until and asking the right question. So let's talk about like more like the active
The
listening part
active
of it.
listening.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the problem with active listening is if you're new and you're just trying to stick to a script that you're trying to read, you're not listening, right? For me, I don't have a script anymore because I've role play. Like again, we role play, we practice enough where we kind of know where we're trying to take the call. We're trying to find out what's the problem and how can we solve it. So I think if you're just stuck to a script, it's gonna be tough to actively listen. I don't really use scripts, so it's really hard for me to say if you use a script and you can active listen.
You
I know
just
it'd be difficult
you
for
just
me.
have the you just know the process,
It's the
the
process.
framework. You know that it has you want to get from here to here.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't matter how, what order, as long as you get to here, and ultimately that allows you to be more present in the conversation.
Yes, exactly. As you go through the framework, you know that okay, I need to find out if we have time to talk. Are they available? Okay, great. Check mark. I need to find out why they're selling, whether that's after condition or not. Check mark. Right. I need to find out what options they've explored. I need to find out a little bit about the house, their timeline, mortgage balance, if you can get that, and that's pretty much it. If you can get those things, it doesn't really matter what order, as long as you understand. Because at the end of that by knowing all the information, you can move forward and send a contract. You can make an offer. So, yeah, if I think understanding the framework is more important than knowing what to say, like with script wise.
Yeah, 100%. It's something that, and this is why I actually think that people are not seeing for this is I'm talking about here VAs. So people are not seeing the potential in VAs because what they do is that they grab the script, give it to the VA, follow that script
Hmm.
instead of teaching them what you just taught me
Yeah.
or what you just taught our listeners here. That it's not about the script,
Mhm.
it's about the framework, it's about the process. Doesn't matter how the script is, whether it's printed with blue ink, black ink,
Yeah.
whatever, it's Spanish, English, or has like a cue, like grammar mistakes. It doesn't matter what the script says. If you know how to go from point A all the way to point Z, and you
Hmm.
know what the outcome is and the few elements that we need to want to grab and listen to the conversation, you can ultimately teach that to someone else that
Yeah.
is not necessarily living here in this country.
100%. I think virtual assistants are perfect, brother. Perfect. And they can learn all that. Yeah, 100%. But I think what it starts off with a script, right? Because I got to know script does teach you the framework and it kind of teaches you what to say, but eventually throw that thing away and just practice daily and figure out, get objections kind of like we did. And you can't beat yourself up too bad either. Like if you say something the wrong way or it doesn't work out, that's okay. You're learning.
Yeah.
And that losing out on that 20K deal, that hurts, right? It's like,
Yeah.
but it's a learning. What am I going to do next?
Yeah.
I'm going to make her sign, like not make, I'm going to get someone to sign if they say yes,
Yeah.
run it by your people. That's something I learned.
How can people ultimately learn confidence?
Action. Yeah, you can't be confident in something if you're not practicing and taking action, right? So if you for example, I've never skydived, right? I would not be confident at all to skydive, like by myself, right? But why, how could I get there? This is just an example. I'd probably have to jump out with an instructor, right? And then after that I can go by myself and then I'm just jumping out no problem. So confidence comes from taking action. And that's the funny thing as I teach newer investors. I say, what questions do you have about wholesaling or whatever? They say, I don't have any questions. I'm like, well, you're probably not trying it. You're probably haven't called anyone because as soon as they make that first call, they got 1,000 questions because something happened, they got a rejection. So confidence comes from trying it, taking action.
I like that. I like that answer, man. Cool. So here you're in Miami, man. You came with your wife.
That's right.
She's coming tonight, and you're gonna be present in the mini vacations that you got.
Yeah.
But as an entrepreneur that is teaching sales, what's next for you? Like, what is it what you want to accomplish with this?
You know what? This is the problem. I get as I talk to students like or people that potentially want to like join my program. It's the same thing they keep on saying is they know what to do, but they're not doing it, right? So my program, my mentorship is geared around not making someone do it, but helping them do it, right? Like I'll actually hop on calls with my people. I'll actually listen to their calls. I'll actually set me up an appointment with the seller you're talking to, and let's do a 3-way call, or I'll call them because again, that's they struggle. Everybody struggles with taking action. That's just what happens. It's scary. It's tough. I even struggle with taking action. I'd rather not call a seller. I'd rather just chill. Everybody struggles, but that's kind of what I do, and that's like where I'm trying to go is create a program or create something that helps people do something, helps them take the action, right?
Yeah, because a lot of people they buy courses, they go through it, or maybe don't never go through it,
Mhm.
and they're stuck there. And there's like group coachings that maybe some of them go and ask questions. Some people never go and ask questions.
Yes.
So I think your approach is great. Now, like, what if they have like team members? Like, how do they approach that?
Like, oh, you mean
Like
like if
closers, acquisition people, or lead managers and things like that.
it's a great question. Most of the people that I coach is just like they're kind of one
Solos,
off. Yeah,
yes.
they don't have like big teams. But I would say if someone joined my program and wanted to experience like practice their sales, I would just say, hey, bring your team. Like, why not? You know, won't be able to coach each one of them individually, but we could at least get them on the group, right?
Hmm.
So that's something I could do to help them out. And I've actually I get like a bunch of leads for free from other cold calling companies, like just from promoting their stuff. And I say, hey, bring your sales guys. They can listen to my coaching calls, right? Just to help them out. So I think that would help out, right? And yeah, so that's how I would.
How's the format of your program right now? So, what as soon as if they join, does it look like?
So there's two levels, right? So there's a club, there's a wholesaling club that's not like a mentorship, that's like more of a program. They get literally everything they need to succeed. And they get a call or 2 calls a week that are actually ran by my students, right? I say, hey, go ahead. You're going to be my mentorship. You're going to go help the people that are in the club program. So that's it. It's less expensive and it's just a way to get started. But if you're in my mentorship, it's like, hey, we're meeting every day. I'm running. Not only am I going to have my sales guys that work for me in there, but you can hop on, see how I work with them, and we're going to train on offers. So those are the two options. You want to work with me, join my mentorship, or if you just want the done for you approach where it's just like, hey, gives you everything and you got to take action yourself. That's the wholesaling club.
Nice.
Is that confusing or is that
No, it's good.
okay?
It's good.
So
It's
just
good.
2 levels.
Yeah.
Mentorship, work with me. Lower, do it yourself. I give you everything you need.
Love that. How can people, find you or
Yeah,
reach out to you?
great question. InvestorThrive.com.
Mhm.
If you just go to InvestorThrive.com, you can reach out to me. I do a masterclass every Thursday, starting actually next week. where you can go on. I'll teach you how to take action, where to get started, and and at the end of that, I give out like a little offer on how to join. So the master class every Thursday, join that. And even if you don't join, at least the master class, you're going to learn some good stuff. So that's the best way to do it. InvestorThrive.com.
InvestorThrive.com. Any Instagram, IG?
Yeah, I got it all, but I would probably just go to InvestorThrive.com just because it's easier. And then if you want to follow me on any of the other stuff, you can
Love
get
it.
it from the site.
InvestorThrive.com.
InvestorThrive.com. Yeah.
All right, Nathan. Thank you so much for being here. It was cool, man.
Yeah,
It's
man. I
awesome.
appreciate you having
Now
me
you're gonna
on.
go and get some tan in Miami.
Dude, I can't wait. I'm about to go to the Keys, also the Everglades. My wife is and me, we like birds. I don't know if you've ever been bird watching, but we like to look at birds, and we're gonna go to the Everglades on Saturday, and we have like this instructor who's like a bird expert that's gonna like take us around. And we're gonna go look for cool birds.
Nice, man. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
it's gonna be cool. Yeah.
Great. So, yeah, Everglades has alligators, which are dinosaurs, and birds used to be dinosaurs before. So you love dinosaurs.
I'm a
essentially.
dinosaur fan. Yes, exactly. I hope you were saying don't get eaten by an alligator. I hope not. Man.
No,
You
hell
gotta be
no.
careful.
All right, man. Thank you so much for being here and everyone that
course.
is listening. If you love this episode, please give us a review. It only takes about 60 seconds. Share it with your circle again. Tell us why you loved it in just in the comments below, and also in Spotify or Apple Podcast. And follow Nathan Payne at InvestorThrive.com.
Do it.
Thank you so much for everything, and this was great. Bye bye.
Every day I'm hustling.